with. Blackjack 22s on a truck fit. Get it? You can't fit if you busted it. Shit, a few ends mean bucks with it. Got killers who ain't never seen custody. Only chains that we claim is a luxury. Yelling money ain't a thing, so fuck with me. I don't think the world had enough for me. She be on top but look up to me. I'm the cream of the crop feeling buttery. Slick shit, I leave blood on the cutlery. Let me catch one slug and it's up with me. Trick or treat nigga, I'm sucker free. Put the cream in your bitch cup of tea. She get no passes, cover 3. I'm just a different nigga. I'm just a different dude. Come from a different cloud. Walking in different shoes.
Different Christmas theme.
It's not Christmas, it's winter.
It's not Christmas, but you got a whole snowman with a Christmas hat.
Snowman with a hat on, period.
A Christmas hat.
How is it Christmas? It's a red and white hat.
That's a Christmas hat. That's the only hat you wear. This is the winter hat.
It's a winter wonderland. What, okay, what would a snow... Wait a minute.
It look like a whole Christmas tree.
That's a Christmas tree?
They don't have on these lights on them.
So,
yeah, it's okay for
I don't
it to
see
be a
it.
Christmas thing.
I don't see it. I see pine trees with snow. I see a snowman with a hat on and a bunny in their business. Like, I don't see the Christmas. I don't know.
Snowmen are generally prepared for Christmas. Like, if it wasn't for really Christmas, we wouldn't even be fucking with snowmen like that.
That's not true, because snow comes regardless.
Snow comes, okay, that could be in the summer.
Snow comes regardless.
Oh, snow comes regardless. I mean, yeah, but, generally...
People was making snow people before. There are Jewish people somewhere, I'm sure, in cold weather, gathering snow, making snowmen.
That's their way of tapping into Christmas without saying we celebrate Christmas. You know what I'm saying? When you think of winter, people automatically start prepping for Christmas. That's why the Christmas lights go up right after Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying?
I took it off.
No, keep it on there. I like it.
I think it's the hat.
It goes on with the season.
It makes sense.
It go in with the season. You know what I'm saying? That brought some life to it.
Okay, I didn't want to imply unnecessary Christmas.
Oh, no, man. That's all gravy.
Y'all, this is welcome. This is Let It Jam Radio. I'm gonna just introduce the shit because I was talking my shit. Shout out to my boy Codac and my girl Angel in the building.
Yo,
there, yeah.
What it do?
With the Saved by the Bell shirt. Do you remember? Good? I didn't know. Y'all know what it is. Let It Jam Radio family come trickles in. Hey, boo.
How you doing today?
Wonderful. I love your Saved by the Bell shirt.
Oh, showing up. That's a throwback.
Nigga, when you walked in, I was like, when I wake up in the morning and
I didn't pay attention to that, actually. I just like the shirt.
How you will wear Saved by the Bell and you don't know?
I'm dead ass.
Ah, jeez Louise.
I used to watch the show, but
man, trigger.
I was younger.
True.
Hey,
Let's try. I forgot we're older.
This is a good cameo because from what I remember about the brother, he can speak intelligently and
very much.
Go a little deep. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see if he want to tap in on the topic of the day, which is your past trauma affecting your current triumph.
Ooh.
That sound like some stuff you finna preach about,
right?
Like a preacher's sermon or something. You know what I'm talking about? You feel me? But hey, it's a reality. It's a reality that we deal with.
I feel bad, like I misdid the description because I was talking about conspiracy theories and shit.
Oh, I mean, well,
God damn it!
That could be a little conspiracy theory because people got many theories. You know what I'm saying about how past trauma may affect people. You feel what I'm saying?
True.
So we can all go down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
You feel me? Regardless.
I did reference the rabbit hole, so it makes it accurate.
We talk about both.
Exactly. There we go.
We could go down the rabbit hole about past trauma affecting future triumphs. And I'm a walking testimony of that.
Hey, you better speak on it, man.
Oh, let me roll up. This won't be one of them shows.
Exactly. Let's hope we can offer some people some new perspectives that can potentially give them some current healing. You feel me?
Indeed.
Straight up. Because it's, man, in our community, I would beg to differ that we deal with a lot of untreated PTSD. You feel what I'm saying? From a lot of different circumstances and situations that could have been out of a lot of our controls. If you think about from the time when you was kids or whatever the case can be. You feel what I'm saying? Growing up. It's just a lot of stuff that we had to deal with. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we were being raised by parents that were dealing with trauma that they maybe not even aware of. Because I think that's the most detrimental trauma that we currently deal with in our community is just the fact of like one of my homeboys that's a veteran today was just talking about how he was like, regardless if you kind of had boots on sand during war, whatever the case could be, he was like, you dealt with some shit. You have to go through some shit, and let's just say you ain't the same before you went in. You know what I'm saying? That you are now, type deal. So it's just a lot of stuff, man, that goes unspoken, untreated, especially in the black community. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff that went on from grandpas, uncles, aunties, cousins. Don't nobody talk about. And you can grow up with a cousin, and this could be, it ain't even got to technically be your first cousin, but let's just say a cousin you grew up with very closely, like every summers, a lot of the weekends, a lot of the school holidays, y'all kicking and chilling. You 30-some years old, and they tell you some shit that went on with them in the family, and you be like, what? When did you go through? When did that happen? Who did what? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, ain't nobody even talk about that. You feel what I'm saying?
It's true.
Because I mean, even just for it to be a little vulnerable in a sense.
Please, we welcome vulnerability here.
I know I have a little, and I can say it because I ain't gonna lie, he the type of person where he don't really be tripping. You know what I'm saying? He's just that comfortable with himself, so to speak. With him, it is what it is. But my little brother, had some jacked up shit happen to him when he was a little kid. And just to give you some context, it was one of those situations where it's a kind of a split family. We got the same mom with different daddies. You feel what I'm saying? Mom died when we was, well, let's say I was 7, so he was 5. I was in the 2nd grade, so he ain't even started school yet. You know what I'm saying? So he was raised by grandma and all her other, all our uncles and aunties type, you know what I'm saying, scenario. But it was a case where, let's just be honest, they probably really didn't feel like raising no extra kid that wasn't theirs. Fairly young, you know what I'm saying? Or with their own situations, their own kids, and it's just, you feel what I'm saying? One of them type of scenarios, daddy just out of pocket on crack. You feel what I'm saying? The type of scenario where he go over there to spend the night, he coming back with no clothes, no games. But we had one of them grandmas that, regardless if she was there every day, she kept you fly. She was the grandma that's gonna get you the fly shoes for Christmas. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Type deal. In the hood. You feel me? But anyway, so it was a lot of unattended time frames, and let's just say somebody in the family, you know what I'm saying, did some inappropriate shit. Right. You feel what I'm saying? And I can say at 40 years old, him being 38, it's never ever came up in a family discussion.
What would that discussion look like if it did?
I mean,
that's my question. Like, are these things, if it's vocalized, is that closer to solving the issue, or is that like bringing up the trauma for the person? You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Well, I would honestly say that looking at it for it to be a productive conversation, I would say it's just one of those deals just to kind of, whether or not the person themselves that were directly affected by it or the trauma was done to, even if it's not just for some healing on their part. You feel what I'm saying? To
like an apology, you think that'll?
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, what does it look like?
It's one of those deals to where I think
jail. I think it's a statute of limitations on it, something like that. If you're, I'm pretty sure if you're like you said, your brother was 4 and he's.
No,
like
I'm not
38
saying
now.
I'm not saying he was 4. I'm saying it just happened a while ago.
Like he was
young.
This was in the different era, basically.
Oh, most definitely.
At least 10 years.
But I'll say shit. Well, who just got hemmed up for some shit? Bill Cosby. How long? 20-something years? And this nigga sat in jail.
But that was white hoes. That's different.
See, nigga, a whole nother problem.
Just saying, that's a different situation because it was white hoes.
Is the statute limitation for black and brown?
For white? For when a white person is wrong?
Or is it the crime within itself? Or the infraction within itself? You feel what I'm saying? It ain't to be on something to cause drama. Go ahead.
I would think it would be.
That mic ain't even on.
I thought you could twist it.
Nah, that ain't what we doing here. It's okay. Saved by the bell head ass.
Is it on?
It's finna be. I had to wait for him to put his headset on so it don't feedback. Y'all knew what I was saying. Right.
You know what I'm talking about? I'm like, come on.
Y'all childish.
Man.
You silly.
The other way.
Oh,
it just flipped it. There you go. was a complicated one. It's funny because you're not on camera and everybody's looking over there. All we see is everybody looking this way.
Who was that?
Who is that nigga? Who is this nigga?
Dang it. Say that last piece you said. The headphones threw me off.
Right.
What the hell did I say?
No.
Oh
Man, we all around the board.
Shame.
I had the thought in my
Dang.
I
head.
had a good piece to that,
No,
too.
You was gonna add some fly shit to it.
It really bring up drama in a sense.
Oh, you
feel
was
what I'm
talking about Bill Cosby and
Oh, yeah. Bill
Statute of
Cosby
limitation
got-
on.
Is it just for the black community that we deal with this statute of limitation on infractions or crimes that was done within our own community? Or is it the crime itself, you feel what I'm saying, has a statute of limitation? You know what I'm saying?
I think every race does the same thing. When black people do stuff to white people, then they want to have a more severe punishment. And when white people do stuff to black people, we want to have a more severe punishment for that person as well. Versus R. Kelly, who, everybody was still like, that's R. Kelly.
Yeah,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody, like the whole world was still like, that's
Yeah.
R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying?
It was
So it's like-
definitely, his whole scenario was definitely split down the middle as far as people you saw vocal about, hey, I still play that nigga music, fuck that shit, you know what I'm saying? I still rock with the nigga. And then you had some people like, oh, just cancel this nigga altogether. Don't even speak his name. You better not even say the word R in a conversation.
So y'all watched the show?
I watched
Oh,
it.
yeah, most definitely.
But that's a good example of past trauma. When they start talking about his life,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
And how it manifests in the
what happened to him.
Man.
Because, you know, we want to, I can't speak for other races, but I say with black people, we do tend to sweep that stuff under the rug.
Yeah.
No.
We
most
got to grow
definitely.
up with our
Yeah.
molesters.
But
yeah.
I think also, I think a lot of people understood what it was as well. You know, there was a lot of people involved in that situation. It wasn't a him thing. That was a machine.
Right.
That was you go get this person, yada yada yada, bring this person back, you cover it up. You know what I'm
But I
saying?
think
You
that's
join me.
I think that's even talking about the byproduct of where the real issue exists and started. You feel what I'm saying? I think the first to really deal with that head on, you would have to deal with the environment, industry, machine in which he got introduced to.
Yeah.
Because it's not like R. Kelly invented the shit that he was doing. It's not like he came into the game with this whole new shit on some, oh, I want to deal with young, impressionable females. And let me use my stardom to attract them and be able to do X, Y, and Z. It's a reason why he was able to be, the word that came to my mind was coddled, but you tolerated in what he was doing because it was already a kind of unwritten expectation. You feel what I'm saying? I can't wait till the goddamn series come out about, if they ever drop it, the shit with Ursha and all these other niggas that came into the game. When you talking about, if you look at some interviews, and I've seen some few shows, podcasts, YouTube deals, where if you read in between the lines, you can see it was some other shit going on. Because you remember when the whole Lil Wayne shit came out when he was kissing Baby, right?
Oh, that was so long ago.
Yeah, it was years.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like in regards to that particular situation, he probably should have gotten off, and this is the reason why I say that is he was raped from what, 12 to like 16. Like he was raped.
Yeah.
Like he really thought what he was doing was okay. He was illiterate. He could not read a lick.
Yeah.
He could make music like a motherfucker. But everything else, he was not an adult.
I didn't know he couldn't read.
He was not like a functioning adult of society. And that should have been the argument. He just had a talent.
I mean, neither
But
was Michael Jackson.
but nobody gonna accept the fact that
but Michael
him
Jackson
being a 40-something-year-old man,
wasn't.
it was
You
justifiable.
childish. Angel, you
This nigga
childish.
Kelly has video proof that he was doing this.
True.
Nigga, Michael Jackson was like, get away from me, little boy. You know what I'm saying? Apparently. Nigga got
little
off.
boys was trying to get him.
Right. Little boys was
Oh man, that's a whole nother.
But see, also, after he died, you had X amount of kids come out and said, that didn't really happen. My parents told me to say that. People paid us to say XYZ.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Families came out and said that didn't really happen. Yeah, facts.
See, I didn't see. I was aware of the fact of it's like a lot of this shit with Michael Jackson didn't even come out as far as even that Netflix show until he died. Then all of a sudden now they want to let the cat out the bag that Michael Jackson was sitting over here pedophilia with all these little boys.
Nah, that was happening while he was alive. It was probably like the last 5 years he was alive. He
But
had
I
a
was
major.
But that
like,
show didn't come out
on-
until after he died, though.
Well, that
series?
last one, yeah.
But people
What
have
was
been
it,
saying that the
Well,
Wonderland.
no, of course, people have been saying that damn near his whole life.
That's what I was saying.
His whole
So it's
career,
not like-
his whole adult career, let's say that.
But
Not
I was
when he
more
was-
so talking about the not a functioning adult, like not an
Well, no,
adult.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why some of those incidents happen, because whether he did or he didn't, he put himself in, these situations.
Precarious situations.
That's why I'm like,
and not
a
even
normal
knowing.
adult in their mind, we gonna know like that's not the way it's supposed to be. But he lived like a child.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand that, but I ain't
Literally.
gonna lie though. It's like I still, even though they were kind of conditioned with this lifestyle, there's still, and I'm not saying either one of y'all are taking the responsibility away from them, but it's like I get that. So yes, that needs to go into the equation of how they were raised, what kind of mindset, mentality that caused them to be able to have. But at some point though, it's still like, that this ain't cool. And even from the perspective of Michael, that's why it ain't some shit that was blatant.
But how when you don't know?
Because I put like this, it ain't some shit he was doing that was blatant. He knew enough to hide that and be discreet.
Not
It
The problem
wasn't
with
him
R.
hiding
Kelly-
it. Was the people
Yeah.
that was around him that was
That
hiding
nigga
it.
was filming it.
No, I'm talking about Michael.
Oh,
Michael was hiding that shit. That's what I was saying as far as him.
I really don't think
and-
Michael was doing it.
I don't think
I
he.
think Michael was innocent.
You talking
I
about
never.
hiding what?
the fact of what was going on.
Like
So y'all saying,
You saying
y'all opinion is that Michael wasn't fucking with no little boy.
I don't think he was
I
fucking with no
don't think
little
he was
boys.
at all.
I think that was something that, I think, like you were saying, that he was in a child's mind in a lot of ways, and where we think it's something, a lot of times we sexualize something that ain't even really sexual to him. In his mind,
Facts.
he thinking like he living as a child because he
Facts.
didn't have a childhood
And
hanging out with kids and shit. Like this is
keep
all
in mind, he's had $1 million since he was like 10.
facts.
Right?
So he doesn't know how to be an adult.
As far as adulting goes,
right. Everybody's taking care of everything else around him. R. Kelly had been a millionaire since he was like 17. He had just graduated college. A year later, he was like famous. So
during the 90s at that.
right. So it's like
you were just talking about past trauma.
No. I get
That's-
that. I get that. That's what I'm saying. I think it's still a balance that needs to be addressed as far as self-responsibility and equating to the fact that he had a skewed perception of what was deemed acceptable.
Mhm.
But my argument would still be, regardless of the how he got there, once he's there as an adult, he's still aware that this is not copacetic to the general public. You feel what I'm saying? Because there is still a lot of discreetness and hiding that's going on. And I know people want to be on some.
I don't think he really hid it. Like he was literally sending his staff out, "Hey, go get her."
No, but that's different from your camp. Because it's shit that people will do that ain't on some real fucked up shit that they would only do in the comfort of those they comfortable with. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
But they ain't finna let everybody else know. Like, it's a lot of motherfuckers that snort coke. But nowadays, they ain't finna do that shit just outwardly in public like that.
Yeah.
But they personally don't really have no fucking problem with that shit.
Right.
Because if you get cool enough with them, they may shock your ass and at
Well,
the crib and you like, whoa, hold on, I didn't know that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit.
Facts.
So
True.
that's what I mean as far as he knew that it wasn't openly just acceptable like that. You feel what I'm saying? it's different to go get a stab.
He did not understand.
Nah, I can't get that nigga that pack because it's different to go get your stab that you know ain't gonna jeopardize their paycheck. You know enough that nigga, you gonna let me do what I do because you know I'm how you get paid. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
So there we
saying that he didn't understand because you got to think of it like this. Why would he want to do it? Obviously, the understanding somewhere isn't there. He might have known because of what was said by others, but I don't think he had an understanding to why this is wrong.
Like he literally used to go back to his high school and like hang out.
Yeah.
I get that.
So I'm saying psychologically, where do you put that? Not saying that anything he did was right, but we're
an adult,
right?
But we're saying that ain't no motherfucking adult.
He's never been an adult.
Manifested in like freezing him in a state of youth.
Exactly.
And he instead of growing up and your taste grows with you, your taste stayed the same.
Right.
You didn't grow and want more because you feel like that's more developed because you never fucking developed. So,
and then you were raped 12 to 16, and then 2 years later you're a fucking superstar.
There's no time to really deal with that. No telling. It just manifested into something really gross, really much.
Like,
okay, so y'all's perspective is that the perception in his mind is that even though it may not be accepted by everybody, but this ain't really I'm not really doing no super fucked up shit. Like, it is what it is. This is what we do.
I'm not doing no super fucked up shit because these parents are bringing these kids over here. I have their permission. So whatever happens over here happens. You bringing your kid to a grown-ass man's house by herself, leaving.
No, what's up? And it's only a problem when the money stops.
When the money stops.
Now, the trauma there is with the girl. Like she's being introduced
She's being pimped by her parents.
Basically, in short.
So you think that was all the scenarios?
I think that was.
I don't think so. I think some of them were sneaky because I remember being a teenage girl. Mm-hmm. Teenage girls are sneaky.
Oh yeah, true story. Yeah,
teenage girls are sneaky
about that because I had said that to you. Remember, I was like, "This is everyday life. Why are we acting like, oh my god,
right?
This is every fucking day life.
Facts.
Like you see it all on Netflix. They got shows, all this type of."
Yeah. Oh man.
She young as hell. She got a 40-year-old.
I was watching.
Daddy.
They put Wild Things on Netflix.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I used to.
Oh wait, which Wild Things?
The one where the two teenage girls set.
Oh no. You talking about that? I'm talking about Wild Things with brother husbands.
This one's different. It's a teacher, and he goes in this whole plan with these two girls that he having sex with. One of them mama is super rich, so he was like, okay, y'all, they gonna say I raped y'all, but then all of a sudden it's gonna come out that I didn't rape y'all, and then I'm gonna sue your mama for this whole thing, and I'm gonna get rich. And they was showing on Netflix, this supposed to be a teenager in high school. They got her naked, sex scenes, titties out. That's why I don't get it. I'm like, this is shit y'all put on TV.
Yeah.
How do you expect these young girls? You got shows like 13 Reasons Why.
True.
It's focusing on
all
suicide
those. Well, I mean, I understand the awareness of that part. Like, I don't believe that's something that should be hidden, and I commend them on putting it out there in a different realm outside of even if someone is thinking that, but to see it, how it manifests, what can happen after you're gone, like that kind of exposure and education.
Also had a negative. I'll just say this, me personally, my son watched that, and my son told me out his own mouth at 13 years old that when he watched that, it made him want to kill himself.
Why?
I mean, we are individually our own individual with our own individual mind. Everything doesn't affect everybody in the same way. That's the effect it had on him. Right. I remember watching Cyberbully when I was younger and going into a depression of feeling suicidal. All because I was watching Cyberbully where the girl wanted to kill herself. I'm just saying all this shit that...
I do think they have a deeper purpose other than educational, in a sense. You feel what I'm saying? With a lot of these shows.
I mean, everything
and that goes to...
Like
and
I
that's
said,
what I'm saying. And to me, that's the...
vision.
And, yeah, and to me, that's the whole... that's that society industry of, like I say, all of these superstars that, from their perspective, you're right, they come into a culture that is not demanding them to grow up. If you providing a talent, a resource, a skill that we're able to get paid off of, we would rather you stay immature. We would rather you stay a kid.
Look at
So
look at they
therefore,
do all the Nickelodeon kid that eat, what's her name? Something Sawa or whatever. It's like, look at all these girls, white girls and stuff that grew up in the Nickelodeon, and then when they tried to Hannah Montana, and then they tried to like, you know, grow up, and it was like, no, then you got a grown bitch with looking like Lori Beth Dunberg from all that. You know what I'm saying? They would not let her go, like, and they still got her on the new All That. But I said that to say Hollywood tries to preserve you where you at. You know?
No, of course. They definitely want that shelf life off your ass. You feel what I'm saying? And so, I mean, and that's, like I said, that was the motivation to the original theme, quote unquote, of the podcast, is just how we are so indoctrinated without even thinking about it. Like, she just spoke of two examples, how she felt, how it made her 13-year-old son feel from watching these movies. And in the sense, like I said, we just exposed a lot of us kids to these mentalities that are not natural to their own psyche, and it just is just left unchecked. Just we just throw it out there and we ain't gonna talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And like my homeboy was saying today, he was like, in the black community, ain't nobody going to no counseling. Ain't nobody going and seeking help. Ain't nobody helping us decipher this mental battle in life that we have to live and deal with. So much information now. So much information now. Damn, the information overload. You feel what I'm saying? To where people be stuck in a process of just trying to process the shit that they've been exposed to. Without, and like she said, people are in various states of mental maturity. Some people can decipher these things that they see and not allow it to really have a deep-rooted effect that changes their perspective on life and the world as a whole. But let's just say the majority don't. You know what I'm saying? What they see deeply affects the way that they think. And so if it is unchecked, shit, there's no telling what type of mentality they gonna decide to live in. You feel what I'm saying? But I mean, y'all pointed out two great examples. Even had me kind of rethink the whole R. Kelly. Of course, I was like on some, yeah, the nigga did it. Okay, yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, that's fucked up. But y'all just can't blame him. I still think some blame needs to go towards him, because at the end of the day, you still got to be held responsible for whatever actions you do. You know what I'm saying? But if we really add to the equation that this nigga was in a culture that kind of babied that whole mentality, then I can understand the nigga really not growing up to really have the perspective of what I'm doing will land me in jail. The only reason why I say this is because I'm like, the nigga wasn't, yeah, they say if you go back to a lot of his songs, he kind of sung about the shit, but it wasn't just blatantly on some, oh yeah, I like to go to my high school and go grab this 16-year-old girl and we finna go back to the crib. You know what I'm saying? Because in certain cultures and communities, they cool with that shit. They don't even have to hide it.
Certain countries is legal at certain ages.
They say R. Kelly was hanging out at McDonald's and stuff. Grown-ups, we don't think, ooh, can't wait to go to McDonald's tonight.
Big fact.
You know?
Not to chill. You know what I'm saying?
Nowadays, niggas sneak to McDonald's. McDonald's is a sneak spot.
Y'all had those places that y'all went to in high school where y'all all went together and hung out. Those different restaurants and stuff. So who's to say that he wasn't with the homie? They didn't say that. They didn't say he was by himself. You know what I'm saying? He could have been with people in general. He could have been with the jocks. He could have been, you know what I'm saying? He was famous. Like, so, you know, popular in Chicago at the time at least. So he would have been able to like have, you know, 20 people with him at all times and go hang out.
I mean, the one thing you can't say, I never really heard it, correct me if I'm wrong, but you never really heard any conversation about the adult relationships he had as far as generally hanging out with adults. You feel what I'm saying? To where it could speak on his mentality as far as he felt way more comfortable hanging around kids or people that were real young in between the ages of 16, 19 years old.
Yeah, but
he felt mentally more comfortable to hang around.
Not necessarily, because there's a whole list of grown-ass women that slept with R. Kelly as well. Like, he has a whole list of grown over 25 women that he slept with that can vouch and say, I slept with R. Kelly. So it's like, who's to say what his preference was?
Mm.
We don't know what them other videos were. I'm pretty sure if he took videos of her, he probably took videos of her too. You know what I'm saying? So he could have been a whole bunch of other videos. They said they had hundreds of videos. They didn't say hundreds of videos of little girls. They just had hundreds of videos. They could have been, some of them could have, been grown ass women. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, it's more so like you got caught up. You know what I'm saying? You showed a pattern of something that you felt was right. And I personally think it stemmed from early success and trauma that you never got over.
Yeah, that was never addressed to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the stuff of being trauma outside of just the act of him getting raped. You feel what I'm saying? Just the trauma of being in those types of environment and not having nobody really kind of guide you through that shit. Because like I say, the one big protection that I'll say one celebrity had was Tyra Banks. Her mama was right there through her whole career. Right. And you ain't gonna hear too many horror stories of Tyra Banks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna leave it on that. We're gonna come back, chop it up with y'all, have another moment with Codac. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate my special guest over here showing up. Y'all better go boo this dude, man. You feel me? But Love the Jam Radio. We out.